PropaUgandan, 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 PropaUgandan Podcast, PropaUgandan, PropaUgandan, PropaUgandan Podcast.
Welcome everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Proper Ugandan Podcast with Kalungi and Ackee. Yes, before we begin, we'll start off with the social medias. I say social medias because it was a mistake I made, and then my brother pointed it out, and I thought, let me just run with it. So my social media is my personal one is Instagram at king_Kalungi. Twitter is Kalungi_, and the podcast Instagram is Proper Podcast, proper spelled PROPA podcast, the usual way, and you can find the same Twitter handle at Proper Podcast. If you want to watch me and babirye speaking, you can find us on YouTube at the Proper Ugandan Podcast. Remembering PROPA podcast, Proper Ugandan Podcast. So I sometimes get the spelling all mixed up, and I have to edit it, put it in the edit, and make fun of myself. But today is a special guest episode. And if you've been following us for the past few episodes, you'd know that this podcast is a celebration of Ugandan culture and Ugandan identity. And big up all the other podcasts out there that are doing exactly the same thing. I think we need this. It's something we all need at the moment, and our special guest today is someone that I really, really admire, and I've been admiring from afar for a long time. Sometimes because she's such a formidable woman, a formidable person, human being, sometimes I wanna make sure I'm on the right level. I'm on the same level, before I get to bring myself to having this conversation with her. I bumped into her a few times. We're gonna talk about the first time we met properly. We're gonna go down some memory lanes. A few times when we bumped into each other, passing, it could drive by, passing by, and also times when we partied together. Nice party that we had recently for her birthday, which was an amazing experience that I think about every single time, well, as much as possible, really. Every now and then I think about it. So let's start off with just reading out her credits. She is a writer. And also, before I start throwing pronouns around, I just want to make sure your pronoun is she, right? So I don't. What's your pronoun? She. So it's okay.
Thank you for
And also, people must know as well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you spell your name lowercase, right?
I do spell my name lowercase. Thank you for noticing.
Okay, dope. And we're gonna get into that and why that is, because it's actually really interesting, and the person who inspired you to do that as well has an interesting reason why they do that. So first of all, for those of you maybe who haven't seen the clip or not watching, I'm speaking to writer, actor, and I know she's a singer as well. Ugandan's very own UVO. We're talking UVO. We're talking babirye bukilwa. Yes.
Oh, thank
so
you.
yeah.
Such a lovely introduction.
My pleasure. Now, this is my first time doing one of these Zoom podcast videos, so I don't know if I'm overlapping you or if there's a bit of a delay. So I'm gonna make sure I don't talk over you, so that we both get a chance. But I want to first of all say that obviously thank you for agreeing to take part. We've spoken a few times on the phone. We've spoken every time. I remember us speaking. It's always like it's never really enough. Like there's never enough time. Before the podcast really began, we were talking about the first time we met, and so first of all, let's tell people. Let's hear you introducing yourself, and then I'll go in and gaff you up.
Mad. Okay. Thank you. My name is babirye Naku Sabua. I go by babirye bukilwa. I am an Chapter. I am a playwright. I am a podcaster. I am a woman. I am a human being. I am a creature. I am an animal. I am light. I am God. I am death. I am everything. I am a lot of
Dope.
things. Yeah, I think those are all my things. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people have a lot more other things to say about me, but I think I like to uh, look at myself as like a plant. I suppose that I'm always gonna grow in a different way,
Yeah.
in a different form. But yeah, Babs, human. When did we first meet? We first met when I used to go by the name Vanessa.
Yes, 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 yes. And I went by the name Isaac, and no disrespect to that name, because I think my mom gave it to me, so I never want to disrespect that. But yeah, so my recollection is we met. I was auditioning for, I think Rachel De La Haye's play Roots or Circles. Which one was it? Where Circles? I think it was Roots. Yeah, Roots. I think.
Okay.
Do you know that play?
I don't know that play actually. That's
Yeah,
mad.
so I think I was auditioning for that, and you might have been auditioning for Debbie Tucker Green, maybe Truth and Reconciliation, or
Oh yeah.
maybe it was
Wow.
another one, maybe it was yeah.
I was
I'm out.
probably auditioning. And what year was that? What year was that? Do you remember the
That
year?
could have oh man, that could have been 2011 maybe
Okay, if it was
2011.
2011, it was definitely I was auditioning for Debbie Tucker Green's Truth and Reconciliation.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow, that was over a
yeah,
decade ago.
yeah.
Oh no,
Over yeah,
nearly a decade.
close to yeah. So that's when we met, and I knew about you obviously. I got my Uganda radar. My Uganda radar is strong, and I see people's last names, and sometimes I just see people's faces as well, and go, I have a feeling that person's Ugandan, whether or not they're going by the Ugandan name or not. But I remember always seeing your name, Vanessa Babirye, because them days I think you went to. Did you train at Identity, or you used to have like connection with Identity Drama School, or did I make that up in my memory?
No, you're not lying at all. That I was with Identity from the age of 16 to
Yeah, yeah.
24.
Mm.
Yeah, a long time. Are you saying that you was like checking out Identity and then you just like realized that yeah,
Yeah,
man.
I used to see, Femi bigging up, his clients on Facebook, and I just remember seeing that name as Babide. That has to be a Ugandan person. Yeah. Like no one's gonna be called Babide if they're like, I don't know, Jamaican or something. Like even
Right.
if they pick because it's such a specific name for the Ugandans out there, especially in the Buganda Kingdom. It's the name of a twin. So um I know just immediately I was like, yeah, that has to be a Ugandan person. So big up you for, that being the signal to us Ugandans going, yes. So we met during that time, and then many, many years went by, and I clocked that you were going by Babirye Buchidwa, and it was almost coincidental because around that time I decided to go by Kalungi. Now, before we get into why we made that transition, let's let people know who we're talking to right now. I'm new in this interviewing world. I'm used to being interviewed, but I've written down a few little kind of your credits. Some stuff that I've seen that you've done, and some stuff that I never really got a chance to do. So we talked about the Royal Court play that you did, written by Debbie Tucker Green, another incredible writer who
Ooh.
also spells the name lowercase. So
Yeah.
so Debbie Tucker Green's Truth and Reconciliation, and that was to do with. Could you explain to people what that play
Yeah, oh
was
my
like? It
God.
was
I
really
love talking about
interesting.
talk
Yeah.
about that play. Till the cows come home, because that play
Mm.
really inspired me to like start writing. If I did not act in that play, like I don't know would if I could call myself a playwright. So yeah, basically Truth and Reconciliation was about the different basically injustices throughout I would say Africa, but Debbie also included Northern Ireland in there, and it's basically about different places of injustice that's happened throughout the world, and snapshots of families, basically not necessarily speaking about those injustices, but almost like the aftermath, like the silences, the very mundane. And so I played, it was a cast of like 22 people, and so it was my first play as well, so I was just like, rah, like this is big, like there's so many people here, to the point where we were like, we'd had to be split up into our countries in order for us to rehearse. We were on stage all at the same time. Played a part of a South African family, and our story was about the truth and reconciliation that happened in South Africa, and we were basically waiting to potentially meet the man that murdered our sister. And it was about how uncomfortable the wait is, and why are we waiting for this? And it was just I think it opened up my eyes to basically how powerful language can be, and how powerful the mundane is. So Debbie does, if she sorts you from South Africa and you're in an island, then you're in Rwanda, and all these other places, and it's just it was a very humbling, very educational, beautiful piece, I feel, of like history. And I feel that Debbie is just incredible, and yeah, I learned a lot during that play.
Well, yeah, she's an incredible writer, and you worked with her again, or maybe this was before, but you worked with her on another one of your credits, a TV gig by the name of Random, which started off as a play, and she turned it into a TV show for Channel 4. And not only did you star in it as well, but also another fellow Ugandan, Ugandan's very own UVO, Daniel Kaluuya was in it. Am I right in saying that? Yeah, he was in it. And this was in,
yeah, he was.
I remember, was this in 2014, 2015? What years are we talking here?
No, B, that was that same year. That was the
Same year.
That was the same year. Yeah, I auditioned for Random. That's how I met Debbie, for the film Random. We filmed it. It was amazing. Working with Letitia Wright, working with Daniel Kaluuya, working with Debbie Tucker Green.
Yeah.
And then that summer, I think, she called me in for an audition for the Royal Court play where I met you.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's the same year, 2011.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, and that's a mad play in itself, because on stage it was a one-woman play, and she played all these characters, and I think it was it Nadine Marshall who starred in that. Yeah, and it was directed. She's so dope, and directed by Sasha Wes, Chef Kiss.
Yeah.
And
True.
And yeah, so she's playing all these characters, and it touches on her brother dying as a result of being stabbed, and she's telling the story of her being affected by it, and the way it was done. So people should watch this. It's on Channel 4. You can if you're in the UK, you can check it out on all 4. I'm sure. If you can't, switch up your VPN, you'll be able to get it. Yeah, so the play and the TV show, but the TV show was incredible because they still kept that play element of her playing different characters, and she just transformed in front of us, but also the other characters came to life in form of Daniel Kaluuya and all the other characters around. And then you guys came in, and I remember that scene. I think you had a scene where you guys came and you put flowers disrespectfully, but like you put flowers. And was there, correct me if I'm wrong, right, because I haven't seen it for a while, was there a song? Was there someone who sang? Was there a section where you guys put some flowers, and maybe it was you or Letitia singing, or like someone
there wasn't singing, like not from me, but there was definitely was like some type of recording of like song, absolutely, throughout the piece. And I think at that scene where you're speaking about where we lay flowers down
Mm.
for Daniel's character,
Mm.
there was definitely like a really sad, like deep reflective song happening at that moment.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh no,
yeah,
you're right. Somebody did start singing. Oh my days. Yeah.
yeah.
Somebody starts
Someone
singing shit. Sorry.
No, no, no.
Sorry for
Yeah, they
swearing.
did. That's what I'm saying. Someone was singing really crap. You can swear that someone's singing crap, and Nadine's character was like, "Oh, stop with your crap singing, whatever. You weren't singing for him when he was
Yeah,
alive, or something along those lines." Yeah.
that's it. Yeah. Sorry. I've just remembered that. Azuka, the actress oh my days, Azuka is an amazing actress as well.
Yeah.
Azuka Kufora, I'm saying her name incorrectly. This is so bad. But she was playing my best friend, and she started singing this really crap song, like
Mm.
just awful. Yeah, sorry, I've just remembered that. That
Yeah.
was her.
I used to think she was
Yeah.
Ugandan as well. I used to think she was
Really?
Ugandan. Yeah, I did for ages because I just saw her name was like I think Azuka Afuka. I think that's her name, and I was just like
Yes.
I just attribute everyone to being Ugandan. But yeah, so you did that, and you've also more TV that you've done. You've done, speaking of Azuka, Azuka was on Casualty, but you've done Casualty as well. You've
Yeah.
also, I mean, every actor, every black actor has done Casualty, man. God damn it.
It's like a rite of passage, mate. You
It
got to
is,
do a
isn't it?
casualty or a Hobie City, ain't ya?
You got to, ain't ya? Listen, I've
Ain't ya?
done Casualty 3 times. Can you imagine? Like, yeah, you just come in different characters. I don't care. So I came in, first time it was to do with stabbing. My brother, that's where I met my friend Jermaine Hunter. Like, he'd been stabbed in the show. And then I came back second time around, and my mom, well, I had sickle cell, and I ended up in hospital and so on and so forth. And
God.
it was with Norma Dumizweni played my mom, and Jeff Francis played my dad, and Javon Hall played my brother. So yeah, so it was like everyone goes through it, all the actors. So any Ugandan actors out there, aspiring actors, just know that Casualty will be your first journey. So yeah. And then, obviously from Casualty, then, you traveled. You did another show called Babylon. Am I right in thinking that? Was that for the pilot? Or did you
Yeah. Wow,
yeah.
you did your listen, you're a good
Come
host, you're
on.
a proper host, a proper
Ah,
one. Yeah, you're really
trust me.
whoa.
Listen, I try
Um
I try to treat my guests like I would like to be treated. So I try to do the research. And
I
some stuff
appreciate.
obviously I haven't been able to see, but and I probably did see when it first came around, but it's such a long time ago because you've done so much, so we're just on your thing so far right now, but when we get into your writing, people will really get to know Babirye Butchidwa. So you did Babylon, and Babylon, that series is directed by the pilot, at least was directed by Danny Boyle. You still with us, Babirye?
I am.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So that was the pilot was directed by Danny Boyle, and also Daniel Kaluuya was in that one as well. So he.
Yeah. I had like it was a cute little like guest. I was playing
Mm,
basically the sister of basically my brother had been murdered and I was playing the
okay.
sister and I was just doing like this speech on TV about his murder and how like we need to stick together and how like he died in this like really bad way.
Mm,
Yeah, Babylon was cute actually. Yeah, they treated me really well and
mm,
it was a really easy, nice job to do.
mm.
Um, yeah, Babylon. I didn't even know Daniel was in that.
Yeah, I think I could be wrong. I just remember I could be
No,
wrong.
he
I could
is.
just search it. Oh, he is. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah. So then another film that I think I caught a snippet of it. Now let's move into. We've left TV. Let's move into film now. Actually, before we leave TV, let's talk about the TV show you're in right now. Right now, people can watch it. I'm watching it on BT because we got BT Vision. So if you got BT, check out Alibi on 312. By the time this episode goes out, I think all the episodes might have finished potentially. But if you do catch it on catch up, just find BT catch up and look for We Hunt Together. Now, tell us about We Hunt Together. First of all, how you got involved in that because that is a dope fucking show.
It is, isn't
Like,
it? Yeah.
Dope, and you're dope in it as well. And I'm really hoping as well that they use you a bit more, because I'm on episode 3. Like, I want to see more of Dominique Parks.
Thank
Like,
you.
I want to, you know what I
Thank
mean?
you. Let them know. Hashtag it. Bring more
Yeah.
Dominique. Okay.
No,
Hashtag it.
we need to, because the way that they call you up for all the information, and they never call you to come on the missions and that. Like, come on. you know?
Okay. Don't worry.
Yeah.
She's still in training. Dominique is still in training. If there's a season
Okay.
2, then who knows? Let's see what happens. But
season 2, they got to bring you in.
thank you.
But yeah, tell us a bit about what We Hunt Together on Alibi is about.
Yeah.
Alibi
So
being the channel.
basically, my agent calls me up and they're just like, hey, is this a 6-part crime sort of sci-fi thing happening? Alibi wants to see for it. And I was like, okay, cool, let's read it. And I was like, okay, DC, okay, detective, yes, that's what we like. That's what we like to read. Dominique Parks. I said, okay, went in for the audition. Do you know what, Kalungi? You know, for me, auditions are weird because I always just have to, I feel like I'm like, I used to feel that I was selling like a fake version of myself, but now I legit go in as Babs. And I went in and they were like, how are you? And I was just like, I'm good. And then for no reason at all, I started singing, we hunt together like Rama Lama Lama, Kadinka Dinka Dong. Remember, like I sang the whole thing. And they stared at me for a good 30 seconds whilst the whole thing was silent. And I was just like, wow, you're singing a song. And then they just continued to ask me what I was doing, didn't really speak about why I sang or anything. And I was just like, oh, have you guys not thought that? We hunt together, we kill together, Greece? No? Okay, cool. Did the scenes, left. Literally the next day, my agent was like, they loved you. They thought you were really funny. They thought you just came in and were yourself. And I was just like, rah. These people, they really don't know how to show any emotion. But that was a really interesting process and it was really fun. And we filmed that October last year, actually just before my birthday. And it was really sweet. They were filming literally around the back of my house, like randomly. Wow. Yeah. It was like really, yeah. And to be fair, everybody was really like nice. Everyone was like just like normal, and the process for that was like really stress free. And yeah, We Hunt Together is basically about two lead detectives. They're basically on the lookout for these 2 killers. I don't want to spoil it for people that haven't watched it, but it's basically like the traditional cat and mouse story with lots of lust and sex and other things.
It's a very, very, very good series. Like, it starts off, it goes straight into it, and I like those kind of series where sometimes slow burners can be good, but that's the problem with them, is that you lose a little bit of interest. But the good thing with We Hunt Together is that it goes straight into it. I think the first few minutes you already know what's going to go on, and you know the kind of show you're entering into. And it's really good, the dynamic they have with your character along with the other characters as well. It's got Babu Cisse, it's got a new actor called Dipo Ola, who I'd never heard of. Like, he only graduated like 2 years ago. I never heard of him, but he's dope.
Doing bits.
He's doing bits. He's so dope. So yeah, so it's such a good series, so people should check it out. It's on Alibi. If you're on BT, it's on 312. We need to find out all the other stations where I'm sure if you Google We Hunt Together, you'll be able to find it and watch it on catch up. Say that again?
I think it's on Virgin as well. Virgin.
Oh,
Media.
Virgin and Sky. Yeah, Virgin and Sky. So just Google We Hunt Together, and it's on Wednesdays and Thursdays. But by the time this episode comes out, I think the whole 6 episodes should be available for people to binge watch, because like, it is a dope show. So
really.
But yeah, so before we move on to like the film section of your career, I just want to like let people know that this episode is sponsored by KALUNGEM. So KALUNGEM is my t-shirt company that I started. Our belief, our mantra is that if you really want to be African royalty, if you want to be royalty, you have to be above cool. You know, if people are bringing you wasi, they're bringing you wahala, they're bringing you nonsense, just KALUNGEM, just be above cool. You know, so
Kalungeem. Hey,
KALUNGEM,
I'm gonna start using
exactly.
it.
So just remember that if you're watching this on YouTube, we got the gold on white T-shirt behind me. And if you're not, just check out Instagram Kalungem Clothing at Kalungem Clothing, and Kalungem is KALUNGEM Clothing, spelled the regular way, and we'll give you a link to be able to get to the website where you can buy yourself some T-shirts. So boom, let's get back to the film, because with film, it's such a tricky thing because you managed to get yourself a part in Strawberry Fields that I wish I got to see. I've tried Potlucker, I've tried 1, 2, 3 movies. I can never find this film. Where can
Really?
I watch it? Yeah,
Oh, damn. Do you know what? It actually comes on BBC quite often.
yeah, that's the thing. But I always get there too late. Like,
Yes. Okay. Between me and you, I'm gonna just send you a copy because obviously I have it.
okay,
But I don't know where you can. I don't know where you can watch it, which is actually quite stressful. But I know that it does broadcast on the BBC like at least once a year. But I don't know why it's not on. It should be on like BBC iPlayer because it is like a BBC film.
mm.
But yeah,
I,
that's such a shame
I
that you
may
can't see it.
I may have caught a snippet of it because for some reason in my brain I just see you in it. Like for some reason you're in a field, but maybe it's because it's called Strawberry Fields, and I just assume. I don't know, like, but that yeah. So just that's another film you've done. But one really interesting film that I think I'll be right in saying changed your life, right? And it changed a lot of people's lives. Is a short film that you did with your friends called Ackee and Saltfish. Now, this is such an interesting film because it was something that, yeah, it's Ackee and Saltfish, written and directed by Cecile McKay, and that just blew up on a scale that I imagine maybe you guys might not have seen coming because I remember first seeing it. We went to a screening at is it the Rio Cinema in Dalston? Is it in Dalston? Was it Rio Cinema?
Damn.
Yeah,
Yes.
where
Wow.
Abraham Papula had his screening for his thing,
Fab.
Shabab. Yeah, so and this was I think I remember in 2014. Yeah, 2014 because I was still with my ex-girlfriend then. And yeah, and I just remember thinking this is hilarious. It was such a fresh of breath there because it was two black characters, black women on stage, and you lot were just chatting, regular chatting, just talking regularly how you would like everyday life, but you were talking about some real serious things. And it starred, co-starred Michelle Tewell as well, and
Hey, big up Michelle.
big up
Hey.
Michelle. And from then, you guys then created a series out of that. Did you? And so tell us a bit about Ackee and Saltfish, how that came about, and your experience working on that.
Ackee and Saltfish
Mm.
came about because basically the writer Cecilia Mike, they were looking to make it. They'd written it.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
were about this life. They've been about
Mm.
this life. They were like, I want to make this film. And at the time I knew Abraham through Identity, and Abraham recommended me to Cecile. And so I think she must have like emailed me maybe, or like messaged me on Facebook. I can't remember, but her exchange was like really nice. And she was like, I've been told that you're like a really good actress. You like the script. If you do, like, let me know. And I read it and I was just like, this is dope. This is like sick. And then she was like, okay, great. The other person I've cast is somebody called Michelle. And I was like, what? This is sick. Like, I know that
Mm.
bitch. I know that bitch. That's
Mm.
my bitch, bitch. That's my
Mm.
bitch, bitch. I know
Mm.
that bitch.
Mm.
And so and interestingly, we rehearsed, like Cecile had managed to hire out like a space, like a hall, and for about a good couple of months we rehearsed that short film. Like we really, like, interestingly, oh my days, randomly, this is so random, I didn't even prepare this, but I found this book, which actually legit has notes that I wrote to play that character of Rachel. I'm very, like, embarrassed, but like, you can't see it, but it says the character Rachel, and it's dated 2008, 8th of April 2014.
Oh geez. Oh god damn.
Yeah. Like, I can't believe I found it. Basically, we just literally, we really seriously, and we, you know, like, where are we from, what do we study, how do we talk, you know, and we really sort of built, I definitely built a stronger connection to Michelle, and Michelle is like literally basically one of my best friends for life. And I think also that for me was where I actually started to really understand like systems of oppression. And it was, I'm always really, really grateful for that experience, because I don't know, it was just, I don't know, like, I grew up in England, I was fostered by a white woman. And so, like, my perceptions have just been completely whitewashed. And so even though I had a concept of blackness and I had a concept of colorism, the understanding of like systematic oppression and like colonization was like nothing that I just didn't know. And so it was like a summer of like lots of learning and growing and unlearning, and it was just amazing. And then, yeah, we filmed it, Cecile's house. I think it was just like a day. I think the short film took a day, and it blew up. And I was shocked. I was really, really, really shocked. I'm still really shocked about it, because me and Michelle are two dark-skinned people, and I just had never seen, like, you know, black women friendships like that. I'd never seen that, and especially like a British version of that. And so I was really shocked that it was so well received. Yeah, and then
I'm just remembering my kind of like initial response to it. Like, it seemed like a documentary, the way to filmed it, and you guys' performance style. It just seemed like you were just two friends talking, going through, East London, and kind of talking about, the effects of colonization, gentrification more specifically, but the effects of gentrification and how that was affecting, your area and so on and so forth. And it was just, the whole cinema was just cracking up at how familiar the language was, and, how just really real your friendship was. And it like, you're telling me now that you guys just met, you knew of each other, but like you rehearsed it for like 2 months, and obviously it shows, but it just looked like it was just, a documentary. Like, she went on to do documentaries like that, Cecile Emeke, and she's all, I know we get sometimes, especially in the world we're in right now, I don't want to assume that that's the pronoun, so
I think Cecile, that's a good question. Cecile's pronouns, to my knowledge, are she, her. Michelle's pronouns are they, them.
Okay, all right. So so I really apologize if I like gendered them. But so Cecile, I know that she then went on to do, documentary kind of talking heads, like Strolling on YouTube, and then she also went on to do a little work on Insecure for HBO. So, that show, that Ackee and Saltfish, took you guys, careers, and took them to the next level, and and ended up being on BBC iPlayer, did it not? Or did I just make that up?
You're not making it up at all. After the short film, Cecile wrote a series, like a web series, of like, I think it's like 5 episodes, we shot those episodes. They received really well, and then the BBC got in touch with Cecile and was like, "We'd love to, do a pilot episode and see Wagwan." And yeah, we shot that pilot episode, and it did. It came out on the BBC. I wish it was still on there, man. I really need it for a time like today. I'd love to watch that.
Yeah, they'll probably bring it back though. I think it's so strange because right now, as we record this podcast, there seems to be like a change, a social change, a political change, and we see loads of companies that previously sidelined, black creators or black lives are, seemingly jumping on the bandwagon of, appearing as though Black Lives Matter to them. And I think another kind of effect of that is going to be people, these TV channels and, TV production companies bringing out all these old shows that they put in the bin and going, oh, let's check it, to show the optics of Black Lives Mattering. And I think, on one hand, it's obviously terrible that they're doing that, but on the other hand, it's an opportunity for that work to re-emerge. And I think Ackee and Saltfish is one of those things. And so I hope they bring that back up, because we do need to. It's so weird, because like it feels like people wait until something drastic happens to appreciate someone, to really, really appreciate. And it's taken the death of not only George Floyd, the brutal death of George Floyd, but also other people like Breonna Taylor, killed by the police, or Ahmaud Arbery, killed by, 3 white supremacists, and all the other, victims of, white supremacy. So it's taken those killings for people to go, rah, Black lives do matter, and also my Black creatives do matter. So, I think, what do you think? What do you think on that? Do you think it's something that is going to bring about long-lasting, change, or is it just a temporary kind of like band-aid solution and kind of reactionary knee-jerk reaction?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think it is a knee-jerk reaction, and I do think it is a band-aid. But I think if we keep applying pressure, and by we, I'm not saying Black people, because I think the issue is that we've been applying pressure. Like, we don't actually have the privilege to not be great, and we don't have the privilege to not apply pressure, and we don't have the privilege to just sit back. Like, we've been shouting, we've been protesting, we've been marching, like, since for generations. Like, it's, and so the issue is that I would hope that, this is a opportunity for, like you're saying, actual political and like social change, because I agree with you, it does feel different this time, but I suppose it always feels different. I suppose every single time something like this happens, it does feel different, but I do definitely see a lot more of engagement from like the non like Black community, and that's where the pressure needs to be, because we live in a white supremacist, capitalist, patriarchal world, and that's not me. I'm not that. So you are not that. So in order for things to change, like, white people need to put pressure on themselves to do more than lip service, and do more than, it would be really great, for example, if they, put all these like Black programs online, but then it's like, are you guys going to keep it online? Are you going to start programming these shows now? Are you going to start hiring Black people to write these shows now, and not just for a season, and not just for Black History Month? Is it going to be like, like, put your money where your mouth is, And I feel I think that's where we're at now. I think we're just like, we don't want performative black boxes that you delete. Like, we want you to look at yourselves. We want you to look at your institutions. Some of you guys are going to have to lose your jobs. Some of you guys are going to have to take pay cuts, and really do and be the change that they want. And I think as long as we keep applying pressure, as long as we don't take our foots off, like, that change will come, because it is slow and like jarring, but we really are our ancestors' wildest dreams. Like, we are everything that they dreamed, and we have everything that they dreamed of. And yeah, sorry, I got very emotional. But yeah,
no, it's true. Like, what you're saying is so true. And like, immediately when you said we are our ancestors' dreams, it makes me kind of, I don't know, I want to immediately kind of go into this conversation about, our names, and how weirdly enough, both of us made this transition, this change from, you know,
Just like
uh,
independent of each other as well. Like we didn't plan
yeah,
it. Like
we didn't plan it. We didn't plan it. We never sat down and spoke, and it's two Ugandans as well that have done that. And I would say it's a little bit rare for people, because you see Caribbeans do that. They have that awakening and they decide, I'm gonna go by this name, an African name or whatever. So, um, I want to know why you decided to make that change, because I've always been interested in
okay, all right, yeah. Okay, why did I mean, it's a really long story.
that. We
But like
got
we got
time. You can
time.
give
Do
us.
we have?
Yeah, we got time. We got time.
Okay.
You can always give
Uh,
us, you can always give us an abridged version, but we got time.
okay. And this is just me keeping it like 100, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah,
I no longer leave parts of myself. I don't leave parts of myself outside the room anymore. I realized that I did that. I realized I either took the black out or the gay out
yeah.
or the anger out or the
Mm,
invisible disability part of me out, and it's just like
mm,
I'm no longer splitting my soul into pieces
mm,
anymore.
mm,
So to keep it 100, I attempted to take my life at the end of 2016,
mm,
and whilst I was still living my life as Vanessa, and thankfully it didn't work. Like I'm just so happy that it didn't. I'm like every day I wake up and I'm like, wow, like life, wow, like wow. And I in the sort of in the when I was getting recovery for that, I just really realized that I was pretending a lot, and I just realized that like I think a lot of the roots of my depression were because I felt like I didn't know who I was, or like
mm,
I just had this sort of weird skewed perception of who I was. Like I said, I was in foster care. I was raised like 50% of the time with like a white woman who had a black husband, and
oh, yeah.
um, they were the ones that sort of taught me about blackness. And my own Ugandan mother didn't want to speak Ugandan to me,
Mm,
never really addressed anything. It was almost like, there was clearly trauma there. And I think it sort of trickled down into me. And so that me not understanding my Ugandanness, I understood that it was because my mom didn't kind of want me to, in a way ish.
mm,
And so, yeah, I think in that sort of recovery, I was just like, you know what, like, nah, actually, no. I really just wanted to decolonize myself. I just realized I was very colonized. I just like, I have to decolonize myself. I didn't even do things like tanning. I wouldn't
mm,
go out in the sun when it was hot because I didn't
mm,
want darker. Now I'm like, oh, I am blue, like
mm, mm,
midnight, and
mm,
it's great. But
mm,
I just didn't have a concept of how much I really, even after Ackee and Saltfish, like I didn't have a concept of like how much I disliked myself. And so I was just like, I'm gonna start liking myself, and that means everything about me. And I've never ever ever liked the name Vanessa. It's always felt like a name that doesn't sit well in my tongue. But there was something about when I speak to a Ugandan person and I hear them say babirye, it's like
mm,
my heartbeat.
mm,
Why does my stomach feel whole when I hear that? Why
mm,
is it that when I go back to Uganda and that's what they call me, they will call me babirye? Why does that feel so much more rich and so much more fulfilling than Vanessa?
mm, mm,
Um, and so I think I was just going through that, and I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna remove this name that I don't know if I would be called that. Like, why? I don't know. Why did my mom give me like a non-Ugandan name first? And it's a beautiful name, and I'm sure she had her reasons for that. But I was just like, I'm gonna call myself something, and I get to choose what that is. And I think it was about me taking ownership of my life, and wanting to I wanted to do life. I was tired of life doing me. And so it was sort of like a promise to myself to learn, to really undo the sort of trauma or fear of being Ugandan that my mom kind of gave me, and understanding that like I can claim something, and I can claim Uganda, because yes, I have so much privilege, and I was raised and born here, and I was born in Western civilization, but I don't get treated I don't get treated like a westernized person. I'm not afforded the same privileges as I thought I was. And so yeah, so I think that was a really long-winded explanation, but me calling myself babirye was definitely me trying to find out who I am, wanting to own who I am, and wanting to decolonize. I just wanted to decolonize my name.
Wow. Oh man. Wow, that's left me speechless. And when you told me that when you said you're keeping it 100, I do remember you telling me that story of where you attempted to take your life. I remember you telling me that story. It's so interesting how you tell your stories, because any other person, you I don't know, okay, the setting was a bit weird because we were in some bar at the national the
Oh
understudy. We're in some bar, so the setting already is a bit, different. But I do remember you telling me that, and I feel like in that moment was the moment that I connected with you the most, when you told me that. I remember that because that cannot be an easy thing to say. But you did say it in such a easy way, like it came out really easy for you to tell me. And but I just know that, or at least I could never appreciate fully, but like I know it must have been difficult for you to actually say that and reach a moment where you do say it. And you know, so yeah, so I appreciate you telling me that. And I remember, I think I messaged you after and I said, yeah, I appreciate you telling me that. So um, yeah, like I think your reason, obviously, my reason pales in comparison, but I think metaphorically enough, actually, it's as though Vanessa was the person you were trying to get rid of in that process.
yeah,
And there'll be other reasons why he did that, but like Vanessa went with that person went, and then Babirye emerged. And it's really fascinating because this writer, this Ugandan writer, Jennifer Nansubuga Makumbi, and she
yeah,
wrote, because you did this radio reading or story time reading, my sister Vida, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And but Jennifer Nansubuga Makumbi wrote Chin 2,
I
and
have that.
which is an incredible, you got it, bring it, show people so people
Yes,
can
let
see it.
me find
Yeah,
that book.
if you can find it.
Yeah.
um and while you're looking for it, I'll just tell people what it's about. So Chin 2 is an incredible epic Ugandan novel, and the Guardian reviewed it as, Uganda's, epic novel. Yes, it's a beautiful book that I wish I had the hard copy, but I was so hungry to read it that I bought the Kindle. So I've got it on Kindle, and I read it. It's incredible. It charts, Ugandan history and into, contemporary life up until 2004, because it was written, in that setting, and it follows this lineage, these these people with the last name Chintu, and where they came from, their connection to royalty and their modern day descendants. And um and I remember in one of those stories, she talks about, there's a story of this girl who's followed by her twin, who's always following her. And it seemed as though, your twin is Nakatu and she's still alive and she's happily married. But it seems as though your Bavidia was trying to break free. And, all the years and everything else was blocking her. And what happened so that Bavidia could come out and she emerged. And it was beautiful to see that. And when I first saw that, it just made sense. That name just fit. Sometimes names just fit, and it's part of the reason why I decided to get rid of Isaac. Because I said it in episode 1 of this podcast. Isaac for me was a name that my mom gave me, and I respect that, and I love the
Yeah.
fact that she gave me that name. And I'll never know. Maybe she didn't. Maybe my dad gave it to me. I don't know, but like I was given that name, and I appreciate it. But over the years, the older I got, the more experiences I started having, and more awareness about, colonization and my own colonized way of thinking. I started thinking that, it just wasn't, it didn't fit, you know, the personality that I felt was my true personality. It didn't
Mm-hmm.
feel the kind of person I was. And just like you, like when I'll go to Uganda and I hear people calling me Kalungi, like it sounds good. And even the translation translates into good. It translates to beauty and skill and all of this. So I would hear it and it would sound good. And I would tell people that and they'll go, wow, that's a beautiful name. But they didn't know that that's what it means. These are regular schmegular people. They're not Ugandans. But I told them the name is Kalungi, and they go, that's a good name. And I never valued it. I never valued it. So gradually I started, being brave enough to say, you know what, let me go by that name. And I had that identity crisis, that moment around 2015, where I was like, oh, should it be double barreled? Should it be, initials? Should it be like W.E.B. Du Bois? Should it be I.I.K. Savannah K? I went through that phrase where it rhymes, so it's like you let people know I'm a writer. So I remember, you know what I mean? So I was like, and I remember after I left the RSC, because I was, again, it was all to do with that kind of like identity, search for identity, and me wanting to like be my, my own man. And I remember leaving the day I left the RSC, I went to see Ma Rainey's Black Bottom at the National, written by August Wilson. And I remember that play was to do with, us taking ownership, this jazz music singer or soul singer, she's, taken advantage of. And I just remember thinking, you know what, we do have to take ownership, and it needs to start with me. I need to take ownership of my name and my identity. So I did exactly that. I gradually started just embracing Kalungi, and as difficult as it was at first, I just started, running with it, and it just made sense. It made sense, and seeing it together, those two names together, just bring me so much joy. And gradually, I started kind of growing into the name. I started growing into the name, and I became confident, to be able to call myself that and for people to call me that, and it didn't feel weird. Sometimes, the Isaac name will try to like creep out and whatever, but I just kind of remind myself that that's a product and effect of colonization, and we just have to be brave enough to fight against it and say, be happy with our names. And if you do have that Ugandan name that you've always wanted to go by, myself and babirye are the examples that you can go by that, and you might not need to go through what we went through or what babirye bravely went through, but you can just embrace that name. So you used that experience actually to write a play,
Yes.
a beautiful play, because I saw the reading of it. I haven't had a chance to read it, but I saw the reading of
Yes,
it.
did you?
Yeah.
What? At Talawa or at Shoreditch?
I tell her. Listen,
Oh
we've
God,
crossed many paths, many
that was
times.
like, do you know what? I'm so embarrassed because that wasn't even a play. Like, it's so much better now. I'm so
Well,
embarrassed.
I mean, obviously it's better now because is this the play that you got nominated an award for, or is that a
You've done
different
your
play?
research, boy. I'm
Listen,
so
man.
overwhelmed. Yeah, it was. It was.
Yeah.
I got to the shortlist of the Bruntwood Prize, which is the
Mm,
UK's biggest like playwriting competition. So
yeah. And you got an additional nomination as well for another award that was attached to the Brentwood.
no,
What
no,
am I
no.
right in
What's
that?
no. Tell me about this.
Oh, I thought you did. Not, never mind. I thought there was another one where how they broke a few awards up. There was like a Bruntwood, and then there was like a special prize.
Oh
Do you know the
yeah,
one I'm talking?
well I was eligible for like all four awards. So there was an overall
Mm,
Bruntwood Prize, then there was
mm,
like a first time playwright prize, then there was
mm.
yeah, I won none of them, but
Oh, no,
I was eligible for all of them. Yeah.
yeah. You see, well, that just goes to show that it was such a strong play, and it was strong because you bared your soul. Like you were writing about your own personal experiences, and we were able to, I guess, get a stronger understanding of you, but also a stronger understanding of ourselves because it was such a vulnerable piece. And The Bruntwood nomination, reflected that. And I don't know if this was before or after, but then you joined London Voices. Was this
Oh yeah,
before or after?
that was so that was after the version of that play that you came to see. That's when I was invited to do London Voices. Yeah,
And
BBC
London Voices is a BBC Writers' Room initiative that brings together, diverse writers. And I was happy to have been part of that for the first time back in 2014 or 2015. We were part of like a really strong cohort there that I remember. So you took part in that, and I know how crazy that experience can be because they throw so much at you. They bring so many things. They want in the end you have to create like a series or an idea for a series, and and I know how. I want to know your experience because my experience was a bit of a mad one, but I want to know your experience working with that because I know there's going to be my listeners there's going to be some people who want to be writers, So how was your experience, first of all, being a part of BBC London Voices?
Yeah, I learned how to write.
I mean, we don't have to.
No, the thing is
Yeah.
that I want to. I'm just trying to think
Yeah.
about how to articulate it because it's a feeling. I'm just trying to articulate it. But I know that you know what I'm talking about because you've done the course. So what I did learn was how to write a script for the BBC. I learned how to write how the BBC writes, and I learned how to put together a treatment. I learned how to write a pilot episode for something, and I think that was the only positive thing for me. I think I have a hard time like when I really navigate thinking about the BBC because it's such a big like corporation in this country. But I can't hide that they sort of, I don't know, their agenda for me always just feels a bit off. And it was a very bizarre experience. I always think those types of groups, I think they should pay for travel for the people participating. I do kind of feel like those types of groups exploit these artists that they're actually trying to support. The fact that the group specifically for diverse voices means that there is a problem already. So to not support marginalized people even more by sort of expecting them to be really, really dedicated with no money and things like that. I just think I have a hard time with things like that, and it's the BBC, so
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think you're right because I remember I think they only reimbursed our trouble once when they had like a special guest that came in or whatever, and it was not related to their thing. So, but I also think that it's so important for us to be involved in these kind of like those institutions and be actively attached to that, because even though nothing emerged from that, like I wasn't commissioned by the BBC or anything, I wasn't my idea for a film whatever was sidelined, and I was told like I should shelve it. The person
Really?
said the person who was leading that group like just said you should shelve this idea. I was like,
that's
right,
so rude.
Okay. It's rude. She just said shelve it, write something completely different. But
what was it about?
It was about, and it's so funny because that kind of idea now is in vogue now. It's making people loads of money.
Of course it is. That's what I'm like.
It's making them money now. They want something. In fact, they made a film. I think they made a film that was a bit like that, or BBC Studios produced a film that was a bit like that. Was to do with like, I don't want to get into too much detail about that, but like, it's a subject matter that if I submitted it now, they'll be like, can we start filming tomorrow? It'll be that kind of thing, So it's really interesting. It's really interesting the way they move sometimes. But let's not focus too much on the negatives, even though
Yeah,
sometimes the
exactly.
negatives
Like
can, yeah,
relaxing stage.
it can help us. But yeah, like let's try maybe like quickly come towards wrapping up because I know we're going on for over an hour and you know the time might cut off towards the end. But
Yeah.
yeah, so we talked about your writing, we've talked about your acting. You know, I know you do have like singing, you know, on as one of your bows and that. You talked about singing in the audition for We Hunt Together. Um, like, do you plan to like take the singing to like the same degree as you do your acting and your writing? Do you ever plan to do that?
Um, what I've realized, so, and this is the play that you have, the play that you saw, the version of that play, the finished version of that now is filled with this character singing, and I realized that I write with, and if this makes sense, I hope it does. I hear a song and I hear that song in a play. So I write with music. And so they're just always the same. That's why there was so much music in the version that you saw. Um, yeah, I do actually want to write music. Yeah, I do. I do want to write and I do want to record. I have songs that I've never even looked at again. I hear melodies in my head all the time, constantly. I actually just ordered a loop pedal and a mic,
Mm,
funnily enough.
mm,
So
mm.
watch this space where
Okay, let's
watch it.
watch it. Let's watch that. Yeah, watch it. And obviously, I go to the studio. I'm not gonna. I'll text it to you. I'm not gonna give them free advertisement. If they want to sponsor me, they will holler me in it. So, but I go to
Right.
the studio, and it's really good. It's a self-service studio, and it's 24 hours. So, like, if you're feeling inspired late at night, you can go and record there. And they've got like chapters everywhere. You know, Notting Hill, Earlsfield, and up
Oh,
north
so
in
dope.
Wembley. Yes, I'll send you the text. I'll send you the a text with the studio. But yeah, it's so weird because I had like a plan and everything, but like I've just thrown that out the window. But let's let's end with a little tiny fun quiz on Uganda. Bring it back to Uganda somehow. And this quiz is just a little fun. It's not like you're not gonna get a degree out of this. I'm not gonna I'm, I'm not gonna get an Ofsted report saying I'm a good whatever quiz master. I won't be going to mastermind anytime soon. But it's a nice little fun UG quiz, for the proper Ugandan podcast listeners to go, oh, I didn't know that, or they go, oh, I knew that. So, all right. So, question one, all right, for the proper Ugandan quiz. That's what I'm gonna call it, and I'll come up with some music for this. So, how many years has our president been president of Uganda?
Hmm?
How many years has our president, the president of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, been president of Uganda?
12 years.
The reason I'm laughing is the way you said it so confidently. Oh, oh,
Give it to my.
oh, that was so funny. That was
I thought the
that
ancestors were telling me the answer. How many?
ancestors are wrong on this occasion. It's 34 years. That is so funny. It's the way you confidently went 12 years. 12 years of president. 12 years of president, man. 12, I don't care. It has to be right.
12.
12 years.
12, man.
Oh, confidence. I like that, though. We're going to need this confidence
Thank
as
you.
well. Okay. All right. So, name one country that borders Uganda. We just need one, babirye. Just
Oh,
one.
Kenya.
Bruh. Okay. All right. I can accept for anyone who's answering along. I can accept South Sudan, the DRC, Rwanda, and Tanzania. So I can accept those countries. Question three: how many languages are spoken in Uganda? This is a hard one.
That is hard, 7?
I shouldn't laugh. I shouldn't laugh at the guess. Okay. All right. The answer is with Uganda, the higher the better. You just go for the highest
Really?
one. Yeah, it's 43. I was
Eh?
surprised. Yeah, according to discoverafrica.com, and I was surprised as well. It says it's 43. There's so many. Like I was surprised every time I go to Uganda, I hear new languages. I go, I didn't know that existed, but let's roll with it.
And and they are dialects or languages.
Languages. You go,
Wow.
I discovered a new one, Madi. You go,
Wow.
Olukuchu. There's so many languages. Like I said the last one wrong, I'm sure, but you got all these languages that are like, I didn't even know that existed, but big up you. Um,
Mad. That's really good to
all
know.
right.
That's a good fact.
Yeah, it's a good fact, that one. So, okay, question 4. Sticking to languages, name 3 languages spoken in Uganda. Just 3.
Swahili, Lusoga, Luganda. What?
Bruh. Okay, good. And I can accept any other ones that, people said, because there's 43. Someone might even say one that I don't know. I'll just say, yeah, no, that has to be that. All right. This one is the one for anyone out there who's on 0 at the moment. This is the one to get you back in the game. This is the final question, right? This is question 5. What's the capital city of Uganda?
Kampala.
Bruh, that's it. We got
Bruv,
it. So
I
that's
was shaky with that,
no,
I wasn't.
no. You can't shake. The ancestors came back and have got you.
Yeah,
They've got you.
yeah.
We got you for this one. We know this one. We didn't know the other ones, but we know this one. All right. So okay. So part of this podcast, I told the listeners, and sometimes I'm a bit, flaky with it. I told them that I'm gonna give them a fact of the day and a word of the day.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if you were able to go out there and find the fact of the day or the week, but it's fine. I've
I
got
found a
one.
fact.
But okay, let's hear it.
The fact is that, is it a fact? No, it's a fact. Say it with your chest, babirye.
Say it.
A fact is that we had a king, Mwanga, and they were bisexual.
There we go. King Mwanga was bisexual, the bisexual king of the Buganda kingdom. So yeah, that's an interesting fact. And speaking of kings, my fact of the week is Edward Mutesa II. And forgive me if we're talking about the same brother, and maybe it's just a different name, but was Uganda's first president. Right after we got our independence, he was the
Okay.
first president of Uganda, but it was purely like ceremonial and symbolic. The
Okay.
prime minister was Milton Obote, and he was running things really. So, um, did you manage to get word of the day? Because I know you're a Uganda speaker. Did you manage to get a word of the day?
Word of the day. I was thinking like more of a phrase.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Insula nunji.
Oh, Nsula Bulungi.
Bulunji.
What's the translation? Let's let some
The
people.
translation for that is like good morning, like it's a good morning, isn't it? I'm having a good morning.
Oh, okay. I know the one you talked about. So you can say Sula Bulungi, which is also similar to what you're saying, which is good night, and then Ensula Nunji. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Ensula
that's what
Nunji.
I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Ensula Nunji. Oh, yeah. It's like it's a good morning or a good way of living or something. Mbera Nunji, like Ensula Nunji. Yeah. Okay. And I'm not an expert in Uganda. There's
Neither am
Ugandans
I.
laughing at me right now. Yeah.
In
So
it,
we'll
they're like,
speak.
you're saying it wrong, Muzungu,
Exactly.
Muzungu.
Oh God. I just want to say, okay, all right. Listen, I'm working on it. But
Trying.
word of the day for me is Amagezi.
Mm.
Amagezi. Yeah, which is like intelligence. So, yeah.
Ooh.
Olina Amagezi, you have intelligence. So that's what we all hopefully need to be improving on in these crazy times, and I can confidently say, and with my chest as well, that babirye buchirwa alina magezi. She's a very smart, very very smart woman, and we've listened to the past hour and 15 minutes. She's exhibited that amagezi, and and I hope people have enjoyed this podcast. I've enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie. I've been looking forward to this. I've been like literally looking forward to this because I knew it was gonna be like a really really lovely chat, and it was so good to like speak to you properly, like uninterrupted, and
Yeah.
so yeah,
I've been
let's
looking
continue.
like thank you for facilitating this and for
Yeah, of course.
being so kind and caring throughout this whole podcast experience. It's been lovely. You're an amazing host.
Thank you, thank you. And it's so good to like, and this podcast is nice because I get to like speak to my friends that I don't regularly speak to, and we get to speak and we can continue the conversations after and so on and so forth. So yeah, so lovely as well, and I get to big up, the Ugandans out there because we also need to band together and just like see how we can, contribute to the development of Uganda as a nation, but Uganda in the diaspora as well. There's so many good people out there doing great things. So big up everybody that's doing amazing things on behalf of Uganda. So before we go, I gotta just big up this lovely play that I wrote called Asata Taught Me.
Oh yes.
Asata Taught Me is a play that I wrote about Asata Shakur, and I've been telling people for the past few episodes that it's about Asata Shakur, who's the FBI's most wanted woman. She's currently in Cuba in exile, having escaped a life imprisonment, a life imprisonment for the alleged murder of a state trooper in New Jersey. So have a read of this. It really talks of our times right now. It's relevant, but it's also hopeful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, if you can get it on the Kindle. You can get it whatever hard copy and everything. So, but yeah, also check out my debut album. I've been telling people check out my debut album, Katugende.
Oh, yes.
You can find it on Spotify.
Thank you.
Music. Yeah, you can find it. I'll send you a link. You can just jump to it. We can vibe to it.
Because I saw that you filmed a video. I know we're going, but you filmed the video in UG, right? It looked beautiful.
Oh yeah. I filmed it in Entebbe. So music video. The lead single is Katugende, so people can find that on YouTube. So so tell people where they can find you and how they can get in touch.
Oh, you can find me. I'm babirye bukilwa on everything. And BABIRYE BUKILWA, just on everything. I'm that on Instagram. I'm that on Twitter. Yeah, watch this space.
Dope. Yeah, watch that space. And remember, people, as well, like you can watch babirye bukilwa on We Hunt Together. You can catch up on whatever catch-up device that you have. Check out Ackee and Saltfish. I'm sure it's on YouTube, still on YouTube potentially. You can see it. And just be on lookout because she's a great friend of mine. I admire all the work that she's been doing, and I've been admiring from afar. And I'm actually really, really pleased that I've been able to like admire babirye up close, even though it's on a Zoom kind of thing. But it's really good as well to know that we've got this, not just the Ugandan connection, but also the human connection, because she's good people. She hangs around with good people. So I've been to her house, and we had some nice cake, a nice rap cipher. Her partner spat some cold bars.
Sick.
And so be on the lookout for all the greatness that she will inevitably do. And thank you for being incredible listeners. And tune in next week. Bye-bye. Katugende.
PropaUgandan, 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 PropaUgandan Podcast. PropaUgandan, 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 PropaUgandan Podcast.